Hey UConn Nation, it's Kiki Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Welcome back to Listen Up. Phil and Ryan back again. Huskies taking a loss. It's weird because I'm kind of not surprised, and it's really weird to say that because when you can say that you're not surprised that the UConn women's basketball team has suffered a loss, that something's not quite right. But UConn suffers their second loss of the season. UCLA winning 78-67 in the first game of the Cayman Island Classics. Phil, it seemed like UConn struggled a little bit on offense. They kind of found themselves in a hole to start the game, and it kind of just seemed like they couldn't really dig themselves out of that for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Ryan, I appreciate you taking off in this game. Sorry, a little bit of background music there, something that we don't need tonight. As I get comments pulled up for the end, it was a game that I thought the Huskies may have came back, and I thought for a second they was going to win it. Game recap, we're going to get right down on into it without wasting any time. Just a couple things to go over. Ryan, KK Arnold did get her first start of her career, of her UConn career tonight. So that was a big plus. I know we talked about rumors going around about that. At least I was right on that part. I wasn't right about the prediction. But surprisingly, I know you don't pay attention to this a lot. The over-under was 137.5, but surprisingly, Connecticut was favored by 4.5, a 4.5 spread opening this game. So Georgetown, Cayman Islands, let's take us there. And like you said, no Ducharme. UConn never led in this game at all, Ryan. It was the first ever win against UConn for the Bruins tonight. Start off in the first quarter. Mule had a wide open Beckers to her left and missed her trying to take it herself. I've been seeing this a lot, and they probably hear the outside voices now. There's other players on this team, and I like it, when it works, obviously, but there's a lot of other players now on this UConn Huskies team that are trying to take it to the rim themselves, not putting it in Paige Becker's hands so much, and it's a team effort. So, but I'll tell you right now, Ryan, before I get too deep into this game recap, thank goodness for Paige Beckers. My word lives up again, because without this game, as you're going to tell, it would have gotten very ugly. Kiki Rice started scoring and hit a three-pointer, 3-0 UCLA. Paige looked like she rolled her ankle there with about 4.5 minutes to score for UConn. She scored and made it 10-2. They were trailing by 8. I was holding my breath there like everyone as Ashlyn Shade went into the game with about 5 minutes and Paige went out, but I don't think anything it's that concerning. Hopefully not. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. There were about 3 team fouls on the Bruins. It was 12-2 UCLA lead. It went on. Edwards had a good mentality, and Betts fouled on Edwards. It was a good, nice, hard physical game down below there, like we expected between Betts and Edwards, although Edwards did foul out of the game. Rice was on fire, Ryan. Kiki Rice, excuse me. I know this is a UConn podcast, but Ryan, there are a lot of great athletes that come straight out of Maryland. Let me tell you. I know we talked about Kiki Rice on the last check-in. It was, she was unstoppable. They were raining threes, and I don't think that you was even expecting this. The way they beat UConn was definitely from downtown. It was raining threes tonight. 28-12, end of the first. Started off 28-12, UCLA, end of one. Starting off in the second quarter, Bruins jumped out, Ryan, to 31-12 lead. Osborne kept hitting threes. UCLA was in complete control, but the light switch came on for UConn in the second quarter. It was a great job. Let me shout out to Amari DeBerry tonight. Great job. I know we've been waiting for this player to come in and change the outcome of a game. She didn't really change the outcome, but DeBerry hustled great, Ryan. I knew this would make you smile. She got her hands on the ball some plays, preventing UCLA to score. That's a good sign, even though it's a loss tonight. Great hustle, great defense from UConn in the second quarter. Page again scored. It was 31-19, and it was a good job by UConn staying disciplined, and they were staying mainly out of foul trouble, not a lot of turnovers. 37-25 UCLA. Paige Beckers kept draining the threes and scoring on the layups. And it was the first. Aubrey Griffin took over in the second as well. First three of the year for Aubrey Griffin, made it 37-28. Griffin then stole the ball, Ryan, and she laid it in again for the first fast break points for UConn in this game. They're 37-30, and that's when I thought it was going to turn around. Paige went for the rebound and got fouled, made it 37-32. The momentum was there. UConn was definitely back in the game. Credit them for doing that right before halftime. 39-34. It was 18 points for Beckers in the first half. But a great team effort again in that second quarter. Third quarter, I thought it was going to be a turnaround and UConn might grab the lead, but Ryan, the third quarter started off the same way as the first. It was the same starting five for UConn in the third. Dukalik for UCLA hit a three to start scoring, and I'm not even going to go a lot further, Ryan, because it was an 8-0 run for UCLA, identical to the beginning, like I told you, and it just kept getting good looks, and again, from downtown. We saw the biggest deficit for UConn this season in this game. We saw a 61-40 UCLA lead there in the third. Again, it's not much different, Ryan. Going down, the lead only got bigger. In the fourth quarter, again, it was Edwards did foul out. It was the sixth time in her career, with about 2 minutes left in the fourth. Some questionable calls by the officials, but again, nothing to really determine the outcome, to make the outcome different in this game. Again, UConn is doing well with what they have, but when you're missing, obviously, AZ Fudd out for the season, Ducharme, and then if you're not, I'm not going to name any one player, but really, Ryan, final score 78-67, UCLA final. I love seeing Paige Beckers play. I really do. But if you want to be totally honest with you, I don't know a nicer way to say this. I guess you can try to find a different way to say it. There's really not. It has to be more than Paige Beckers.
Yeah, it just seemed like, like I kind of said right out from the gate, Paige seemed like really the only player that could do much in the first quarter. Like you said, Aubrey did get going a little bit there in the second quarter. KK picked it up a little bit as the game went on. But right away, UCLA starting the game on a 10-0 run. And that's really what I was worried about in this game, is UConn not being able to handle the firepower that is the UCLA Bruins offense. And later in the first, UCLA goes on another big run. 10-1 run, then UConn already down 28-12 at the end of the first quarter. And like you said, it seemed like UCLA couldn't miss from the whole game from downtown 3-point range. 6 of 11 in just the first half. Paige Beckers just carrying the UConn offense until Aubrey Griffin. She did go on that little run that you mentioned, scoring 7 straight points. So UConn did do a good job in this game at different times to fight back at the end of the second. They kept it close there at the end of the fourth quarter, or during the fourth quarter. But I just think they dug themselves in too deep of a hole to try to climb out of. But yeah, like you said at the start of the second half, same story again. UConn really struggled to shoot the ball in the third quarter, just making 1 out of 14 field goal attempts, only scoring 8 points. That's not going to win you too many ball games when you can only make 1 shot in a quarter and only score 8 points. But like I said, UConn did keep it relatively close in the fourth quarter, but just, too big of a hole to dig themselves out of. And I think as well, Aaliyah had a tough night down low against Betts. And that's, kind of what I expected. Obviously, Aaliyah having another great start to her year, but Lauren Betts is a pretty big presence down low. And we talked about as well UConn needing to get bench points. Only 3 points off the bench tonight. It seemed like Ice Brady struggled a lot. Couldn't find her shot. Ashlyn Shade, the only 3 points off the bench. Amari, like you said, it's good that she got some playing time, and it looks like she did play relatively well with the minutes that she was given. But it just seems like there was only three little bright spots in the UConn offense. Of course, Paige Becker's KK got it going a little bit. Good to see her play pretty well in her first start. And Aubrey Griffin played a pretty good game, but outside of that, it didn't seem like there was much production as far as the offense goes for UConn.
Yeah, the Huskies were starting to show some life. They were relying more on their layups rather than the jump shots. But again, you can't always use the glass as your best friend, right? I mean, you have to. What AZ Fudd has been able to do so well is the mid range shots. Yeah, Ryan. I don't know. I don't know. I just I'm ready for the next game. I can tell you that much. Again, final score 78-67 UCLA, and Ryan, Kiki Rice, she flirted with a triple double. And it was a first ever. Paige Becker's 31 points. First ever win over UConn for UCLA. Couple comments and I will get you out of here. Let's jump over to Jason D'Amico. Caroline's scratch from this game is not surprising. She played the Minnesota game as if she had vertigo. Paige needs to have one of her memorable type performances, and Griffin will need to shine as well for UConn to win. Betts will keep Edwards tied up in the paint, so it will be up to the guard, forward play, peace. P.S. I have theory that UConn already knew that AZ was done for the season before the Minnesota game. It would explain why they looked so uninspired and deflated right out of the gate. Something is off with this team right now. Well, yeah, I mean, Ryan, not to get in two different things there. I mean, it's this is your part, so you can go. But yeah, Griffin and Paige really did step up tonight. But and then about AZ Fudd, yeah, I mean, we talked about it already. For people that don't want to believe it, that's fine too. I just with certain teams, and that's fine. You don't have to. No team is subject to. There's no certain rule to what they release to the media, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know. Being a fan, breaking news, right? Not to be negative, Ryan. Breaking news. Being a fan, no matter football, baseball, whatever, you're not going to know everything. Period.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good points in that comment. They kind of perfectly predicted the game with Paige having a pretty memorable performance. Aubrey Griffin showed up and predicted Lauren Betts would give Aaliyah Edwards a pretty big problem down low. But yeah, I mean, shout out to UCLA too. Like I said, a very talented team. Charisma Osborne, Kiki Rice, Lauren Betts, they're kind of big three-headed monster, kind of carried them throughout the game. But yeah, it's like I said at the beginning, it just seems like something's off with UConn. Something's not right. I don't think it's necessarily one specific thing, but it just seems like it's not the team of old. And I've seen it throughout the comments. It seems to be a theme. So, I think it's more of a mental thing now. It's more of a mentality that this team has to get over, with the injuries. It's not easy, but it just seems like something is off, and it's uncharted territory, I think, for Gino Ariema led team. So hopefully, it's obviously still a long season. Right back at it tomorrow, a little bit easier of a game against Kansas, hopefully, but yeah, there's definitely something that's not 100% right. It's just kind of hard to pinpoint one thing.
Marcia Clark, this game should be an interesting one. If UConn can put up points on the board and battle bets on the boards, they should be good. Hope both teams play well. No more injuries. My heart goes out to UConn. Gabriela Jaquez has impressed me so far for UCLA. Seems like a very versatile player. I also didn't realize that she is Jamie Jaquez's sister. So cool. Wishing both teams good luck and, more importantly, good health.
Yeah, Jaquez, she didn't have a really bad game.
Jaquez.
Yeah, didn't really have a bad game off the bench, scoring 7 points, and UCLA only scoring 15 bench points as well, but obviously enough to get it done. Yeah, no injuries tonight, so that was a positive, of course, from both teams. Yeah, hopefully, it's like we say, it's impossible to predict injuries. Caroline is day to day, considered day to day. I saw that after the game. Gino said no timetable still for Ayanna Patterson. But we definitely need both of those players back. It would help a huge amount for this UConn team right now.
All right. And again, that's Gabriella Hawkes, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Hawkes. All right. Time for one more. Let's go over to they definitely need to start KK Arnold and also bring in Cadence sporadically. As far as Ducharme, she's had her share of setbacks, which is unfortunate because she's a really good player. However, the Huskies had a problem with what to do with DeBerry. They either need to let her go and transport her, and transport out, or start playing her, or the other. If the Huskies can't use her, I bet her skills would shine better on some other team. Well, tonight, Ryan, it was different. She finally came in and finally stepped up in big situations.
Yeah, well, we got the KK started. Unfortunately, Cadence didn't really see much playing time tonight. A little surprising. I think Cadence needs to definitely see more playing time off the bench because she has had a pretty good start to her rookie campaign so far. But yeah, I don't I don't really think Amari's going anywhere. She is already a junior, so hopefully this game can be a little giddy up and spark something for her for the rest of the season. Like I said, UConn really can use all the help they can get right now, especially with Patterson and Ducharme out. So hopefully it'll spark something tonight. Hopefully we get to see more of Amari tomorrow. Hopefully Ice Brady plays a lot better than what she did tonight, because we're definitely going to need some better post play coming down in the stretch here.
All right, no last check-in. You're right. We have a quick turnaround, so Ryan, we will get to bed. And just very quickly then, tomorrow at 7:30, to conclude the Cayman Islands Classic, who do you have? Kansas, UConn? I'm going UConn in this one.
Yeah, I'm going UConn. I think they can beat Kansas. Hopefully they get some positive things going, get back in the win column, and hopefully it sparks a little bit of a winning streak, hopefully.
All right, that's it. You heard it here first, Ryan, Phil, and Rye on Listen Up.